Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen, what is happening? Statman Tripper, we are back at it again. No Cooldown Podcast, episode 92. Skip to my Lou, Mary Lou who, whatever types of who's you drinking, all stuff like that. I don't know why I was trying to rhyme again. It's been a minute since I did that. But anyways, we are back again with another episode of the pod. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. The summer's getting closer. The games get announced. Things are happening left, right, and center. And we got to talk about them, man. You know what we got to do. We got to give y'all the content that y'all love. And of course, I'm here with my podcast partner in crime, Wenneth Easy in the building. How you doing, Ty?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Enjoying the warm weather, but concerned about the warm weather. You know how that is.
Type shit. Oh man, shout out to Al Gore and his internet, man. Where we might be screwed, buddy. We might be screwed, but it's all right. Before we're screwed, make sure you rate the podcast 5 stars. Make sure you go on all your audio platforms. Type in No Cooldown Pod, and we'll be right there. Of course, we're available on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. No Cooldown Podcast everywhere except for Twitter or X, where we're just No Cooldown Pod. Again, you'll find all the clips, segments from the pod. Yeah, I might have a couple of exclusive things coming in the works. You might want to check it. We got stuff rolling, so make sure you guys show us some love on that. Send us further into the algo so we can get some more viewers, and just help this platform keep growing and continue to push on the way we know. There's a lot of cool stuff that happened this week. A slightly smaller episode, but there's a couple of big things that we definitely caught wind of that we want to get into. So let's get to the main courses first, man. Let's talk about these news stories. When is you ready?
I'm born ready.
Man, let's get into it. All right, first and foremost, we must speak on and talk more about No Rest for the Wicked. Yes, No Rest for the Wicked. Moon Studios, the good folks behind the whole Ori games and stuff, they have dropped No Rest for the Wicked into early access. It is one of the brand new Souls-like games that have dropped. Thank you to the team. Shout out to Wicked Games. Shout out to all them folks for dropping a code. No Cooldown's way. We had a chance to dive in to the early access, and we had a correspondent on the scene, Wenneth Easy, and he had took some time with the game, had his first impressions. I was watching intently, like Overwatch or something like that. I was in rooftops, seeing his viewpoints. And yeah, just at a plain view, how are you liking No Rest for the Wicked? How you feeling about it? Let's get into it.
So one of the first things that I felt after the stream when I stopped playing the game was like, damn, I really want to go back. Mm-hmm. It is a really, really good use of like the very punishing Souls-like genre of like, hey, every move you do matters, stamina, all that stuff. It feels refreshing to see it from a different viewpoint than just a regular third person standpoint. I enjoy it more than actually the third person standpoint, just because while the game is still very punishing, it never really feels unfair, because in Souls you'll walk past a corridor and because the camera can't see through walls, you'll get hit in the back and you're like, oh my god, that's so annoying. But in this case, I never really felt unfair like fighting through the monsters or just walking through the areas. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's still those pitfalls. There's still like falling off of things and things of that nature. But I really enjoyed playing an action RPG from the top-down view. It felt like honestly, playing this game feels like what I would have wanted from Diablo. And two very different games, and even though they're in the same genre, the genre itself, like the subgenre itself, is pretty different. Mm-hmm. The fun that I had in this game was what I was expecting from Diablo. It's everything that you do has weight to it. Everything that you do has it is meaningful. Even the smallest, the weakest monsters in the game also have a lot of they have a lot of damage. You can't just like smash square through these people because you're not gonna have enough stamina to do so unless you build the stamina correctly. Like, it is a very, very through and through an action RPG. I have a lot of fun with it. I'm planning on going back into it soon. The biggest differences that I noticed is I don't know if there's a rest system, which makes sense for the game No Rest for the Wicked. Like, every time I needed to heal, I either had to go make myself some food at a campfire or die. Like, there was just no, you don't go to campfires to sleep. Yeah. The only time I ever slept in the game was for like a cutscene, because when I went back to that area where my bed was, quote unquote, I couldn't go to sleep. So I was just like, man, this is really interesting. So all in all, the game is really dope. It has like a time system as well. Like there's like night cycles and day cycles. I have not sunk my teeth deep enough to really be able to give it a full-on review, but I have enjoyed every moment that I've played this game. Even like another thing too is like there's like no Estus flask or anything like that. Like every time you need food or healing, you need to go find the ingredients, you need to go make the meals. So even things like I'm gonna go over here and grind, or I'm gonna go over here and explore. Like if you go, I remember fighting this group of bandits that kept killing me because it was like 4 of them. I kept dying, and I'm like, damn, I only have like 5 soups left, and I don't have enough materials to make any more soups. So I either got to make the decision of going back and trying to fight them, or just letting them go.
Yeah, gotta make a play.
Exactly. I'm just like, yo, I don't got that much ingredients to keep healing myself. So I was like, damn, like I might just have to go somewhere else and see if I can go get some ingredients in that direction. So it's really, really fun. I think if you're a fan of Elden Ring, you're gonna love this game. I also noticed that when you kill some monsters and then you die and come back, the monsters don't necessarily respawn. I don't know if it's like if they respawn every day or like after one cycle, but that was I also kind of enjoy that, because there are times where like I'll go clear out a room, died in the next room, and then I'll respawn. I'm like, damn, I really don't want to have to clear out that other room, but you don't. But of course, I could be wrong about that one aspect, because I haven't played too much into it.
And I think that's part of the live system that we did see from before. So it's like I'm not sure what the spawn rate or what the movement rate is, but I'm pretty sure that's part of the live system at play. Where like if you clear out a certain place, like they'll be gone. But if you wait a certain like amount of time, another set of like I guess an enemy faction or a set of grunts or whatever types of different enemies, they'll populate the area as you left it. You know what I mean? So it's like you might go back to that area, and there's going to be a chance where you might see a different person, a different set of people, a different set of enemies than you ran into beforehand. So I'm not sure how the application of it is in the game. I don't know if it's going to be like every time you spawn, or maybe like a week in game time. I'm not sure what that's going to be applied in yet, but that's definitely the system that they have in place. So again, at least you don't have to do the Elden Ring thing where like if everything gets reset when you go to a campfire or something like that, and you have to go everything again and again and again. So well, I guess it's a sample sizing. We'll just see as you get more into the game.
No, for sure. And I plan on putting some more hours into it. I streamed like the first 2 or 3 hours of it. The art style, that's another thing too. It's like outside of the gameplay, the art style is absolutely stunning. It is. I cannot get over how beautiful the game looks. And it's not even on a level of like hyper realism, just the way the art style they chose is executed damn near to perfection. I have not seen a prettier game in a long time. At no point in time was I sitting here like, because even when you're playing games like for example, I guess an example would be like Borderlands, right? It has a very unique art style, but at the end of the day, you can kind of still feel like it's still a game. Like you don't you still see the aspects of like they designed the characters like this, then they threw the art style on it. In this game, it feels like the art style was chosen while making the models, if that makes sense. Like it's not a shade or anything. Like this is designed to look this way. It is gorgeous. I would watch it every cutscene. It feels like a movie. It feels like a Tim Burton movie.
Hey, I know, I can see that. I can honestly see that, bro. Who is the priestess or whatever, that lady that was there towards the start of the game?
Yeah,
she was like
talking
big
like
shit.
The religion.
Yeah, she was talking big shit. I was like, I'm like, damn, why they make Shorty so bad? She need to chill out, son. What's going on here? But two, it everything looks smooth. Everything really looks smooth.
Yes. Even like when there is like a scene when you're on the ship and it's just like everything is moving. Like it's also in the trailer. If you see it in the trailer, like that. Like when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is really cool. But like that level of like detail and like hand drawn, it goes through the whole game, and the story is actually really engaging. That's actually one of the things that I've had struggles with in Souls games, is that like I can never tap into the story too much because I'm always too focused on like, oh, let me hyper scale, let me mid max my character, or like I'm over here too busy worried about the difficulty that like when I go and talk to people, I just don't really care. I'm like, I need to know where the best weapon is, buddy. I got a big ass monster I got to go kill. I don't really care about what's going on in this little ass town. But like in this game, those first couple of cutscenes have sucked me in, and now I'm ready to figure out what's going on. And the characters, all the voice acting is top notch. The whole game just in general is so good, and I just like, the only negative I can really say is that it's an early access, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's more like every early access game I play, I feel like has a wall that you hit where you're like, you cannot complete the game because it's still not fully out yet. And that's my biggest fear, is that like, I'm going to be playing this game, I'm going to get addicted, and then you're like, well, you can't continue because we haven't finished that part of the game yet. Like, that's the only negative I really have, is that like, I'm scared of putting a lot of time into it and then finding out that it doesn't go deeper than the first chapter or something like that.
Yeah. I only have one question for you and what you had to play through, considering that. Have you had any chance to sit down with like the customization stuff? Like, I know you can buy homes in Sacrament. I'm not sure what the gap is between anything that you can like customize in terms of again, homes, the world, interactivity with that stuff, or just your character, your person, outside like the loot stuff. I'm not sure how deep the customization is on that front, even the character creator as well. I don't know if you can expound on that.
Yeah, so I was able to, I made my character, the customization for the character was very whatever. Like, you only really customize the face, and I think you choose like a body type, but you only really customize your head.
Okay.
The hairstyles, good. I feel like, it's par for the course, just like not as many as one would like. You could change your facial structure, you could change like your skin tones and all that. But I haven't gotten to a point where I can like have my own house, but the city in and of itself, there are a lot of places when you walk around and like you talk to the locals. There is like this section where every time you talk to somebody, they're like, oh yeah, I used to have an inn here, but it's destroyed now. If only I had the materials for XYZ or da 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 da. And that's like a common theme in the game. So it seems like one person, and you meet this person like early on after you like actually like open up after like, I want to say the tutorial section, like after the first boss area, where he's like, I'm the person who really fixes everything in this city. So if you bring me the materials and the money, I can like open up a tavern, or I can upgrade. You'll bring stuff to the blacksmith and upgrade his facilities. And I'm sure that once you bring stuff for him, they're gonna be like, oh, actually, since you upgraded my shit, I can now make you better shit.
Yeah. And
it's really interesting, but it's also like, I also run into the little situation of like, you're going to need money to fix these things, but then it's also like, damn, I need money to repair my equipment. So like, resource management and like getting resources is going to be very important in this game. Every time you see a tree, I'd recommend chopping it down. Every time you see like a place that you could dig up some stuff, I recommend digging it up. Like everything's going to matter. Copper, all of it is going to be very important, because there's a lot in this city that you need to fix. And I also think that it kind of gives you a lot to do, though. Like, I'm not against it whatsoever, because I kind of like the little micromanaging type of stuff. I don't mind resource gathering. I don't mind the bit of a grind. And it seems like it's going to affect the world in more of just a little capacity. Like, these people you talk to, like the one lady I talked to was like, yeah, I used to have an inn and a husband, and I lost my husband, thank God. But I lost my inn as well. Like, she was like, it was a very interesting character, and I want to know what happens when I go and help this person. Like, every NPC that I ran into has like a very interesting story to tell. So as for the character creation, it's kind of like whatever, but it's also a top-down game, so I'm not like super stressed about it. I'm like, I mean, I barely see the guy's head to begin with. Yeah. But definitely could have a little bit more customization options. I would say more in the hairstyle thing, because if I only get to change this but yeah, like, since I wasn't too stressed about like the way they looked, it could have been better. But I mean, like, I feel like that's a normal thing these days. And I want to say the city has a lot that you're going to be able to upgrade. So there's going to be a lot to do in the game.
No, fair, no, 100%. And I know they have not added co-op just yet. I know they're waiting for update 1, so I guess we'll see how that factors in as well. I'm pretty sure that's just going to be like a seamless world type of thing, so like everybody can drop in the server, 4 people, and then you guys can just go wherever you guys please. You don't have to stick together exactly. So we'll see how that plays out. But so far, from what I've seen and from your play session, from other people's play session and stuff, the world looks really, really just, again, alive, a lot of depth to it, very, very unforgiving. I saw you on the first boss, the Warwick the Torn and stuff like that. You was trying to put in that work. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. And that was like another example of like how finite your stuff is that I ran through that. I got into that fight and I fought him like 3 or 4 times before I ran out of healing, and I was like, damn, now I have to do this fight without healing essentially, because I didn't feel like going all the way back and picking up healing items. So I said, fuck it, we're gonna just do a no death run on this boss, and it took me a little bit, but like it was also very informative because I was able to learn how to parry, and I was getting a lot better at the game in general and finding out what build works best for what. And it was difficult, but at the same time, I wasn't the only thing. That was like the only time I was ever like, man, I wish I had like an Estus system or like a flash system where I could just like, oh, when I respawn, I have 3 potions that I can drink, and who knows, maybe there is something like that down the line. But yeah, no, that first boss was something else.
You should have seen the look on my. You gotta watch the stream back, y'all. You gotta watch the stream back and just see his face. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Bro, I was so over it.
He was so into it that he got into it with Panda for a second. I was like, "Oh shit!" Wait. This shit was gas. That was a funny ass moment.
The game does a lot to you.
It's like shit. It was hilarious. That was funny, but no, solid, man. Again, from what I've seen, I can't wait to get into it when I get my hands on it. But I'm glad that, you know what I'm saying, we got a chance to, you know what I'm saying, for the pod to see it early and just get a quick look in, because so far it could be a contender. You know what I'm saying, for one of them games of the year slots. It could be a contender for one of them. You know what I'm saying, one of those categories, one of those bigger categories towards the end of the year. So I'm cool with this. It's looking good so far. And when any final thoughts before we move on to the next thing?
I definitely think it's something to check out if you're into action RPGs. If you are faint of heart, I would say skip this, but definitely watch the cutscenes. Definitely watch the cutscenes.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's slide on to the next thing here, and let's talk about Tales of Kenzera Zao. Wow, let's get to it, man. First and foremost, this is gonna be a review. We're talking about the game. Shout outs to EA, shout outs to Surgeon Studios. They did again slide some codes our way to, you know, review the game, check the game out, and see what's going on. Shouts to them as well. They put your boy in a little trailer, something like that. You know what I'm saying? You might see me somewhere around there. Shouts to them for that though. We got to talk about the game. So the first portion, or as much as we possibly can, will be non-spoilery. So if you haven't played the game through yet, it's okay. We got something for you, but we will tell you when we're gonna get spoilery, so be careful. Please be careful, okay? You're gonna know, and if you skip forward without looking for the warning, it's your fault. I will literally put it in the description and say this part gets spoilery, so look out. All right. So when are you ready?
Born ready.
All right, so let's talk about it, man. Again, for those that do not know, this is one of the brand new games from EA Originals and Surgeon Studios. It's a story about a boy who's kind of dealing with the loss of his father and kind of journeying through this kind of, this journey of grief, this path of grief, and he finds a book, and he finds a story about an ancient shaman named Zao, and it kind of goes on this storytelling, Zao, how Zao lost his father, and now he communed with the god of death Kalunga to find 3 great spirits and guide them to the land of death, and in exchange for those 3 spirits, Zao will get his father back. And it takes us through a lot of different points of action, emotion, and stuff like that through the lens of this Metroidvania style platformer. So I've been looking at it, for a while now. We've been checking it out for a while now. We got involved with the rollout, which is super cool, but we got to give the honest facts. We got to talk about the review and stuff. General impressions off the top. How'd you feel about it?
Beautiful. It was a really, really beautiful game. The music, like the entire the setting is special, is what I felt the most. Is like while I was playing through this game, I was like, this is something that you don't really experience in such a whimsical while also connected to such a real culture. It is very, I'm trying to think of the best word to describe it, but no, that's the best way to describe it to me was just like, I felt like I was just being exposed to something that I had never I maybe knew of, or knew something that was inspired by, but never actually connected with something itself. It definitely, like, the whole time I'm walking through it, it's just like beautiful. Like, I guess that's the best word to describe it, would be beautiful.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, it's just captivating. It's definitely my word. captivating is definitely my
that's
word.
a good word. That's a great way of using it.
I was, you know me, I am not the one for all these super, you know what I'm saying, long games, lengthy to grandiose games. There's gonna be heat anywhere you look in gaming nowadays, and my first impression and my main impression with this game was, and I'm gonna talk about this more in a separate thing down the line, but this game is an onion. All right, this game is an onion, and I mean this in the best of ways. Let me explain what I mean by this generally. First of all, again, shout out to Shrek. Onions have layers, so you gotta go in with that thing first. I gotta drop the Shrek quote first and foremost. This game is so layered. It has so many pieces of depth to it. The closer you get to, you know, the game itself when you connect with it, on the face of it, the colors, the you know what I'm saying, the influence, the visuals, the music, what you hear and see before you even get close to it, and then you start touching and playing with it. Pause. The you know what I'm saying, the gameplay of it, how delicate the balance is, how, you know, ultimately like freeing, and how much choice you have in the system that's been set up, the actual difficulties, you know, and struggles with that, the sets of gameplay and stuff like that, when you deal with the enemies, when you deal with the environment, you know, when you're dealing with the platform and mixed with so many, you know, different things that are thrown at you. It was really cool. And then you get to the deeper levels, you talk about the emotion that exudes through it, the themes, the emotions that are flowing through damn near everything in this. It's an onion, and it's so compact. There's so much that emanates from the center of the game, the core of the game, the themes, and it emits through everything that I've seen with, you know, with the game from bottom to top. So I'll try and keep it as non-spoiler in the beginning, you know what I'm saying, and we can roll backwards. Let's start with the gameplay. And talk about how it was. Again, Metroid style platformer, 2.5 2D. Again, pretty heavy combat flow, if you know what I'm saying, if you want to put it that way. Again, melee combat, ranged combat, you're gonna deal with a variety of different enemies on there. With that style and kind of how you saw it applied, how'd you feel about the gameplay portion of it? Because I think that's important. With, again, as good as the narrative as it is, had a gameplay to match.
I think my favorite part definitely was the platforming, even though there were some sections that were absolutely brutal for me. That was just like, and then some of like, and it wasn't even like sections that I felt were brutal without a purpose. Like if it was a platforming section that was brutal, it would be either a challenge section or a section that had to do with a boss fight. And it's like, damn, I have to, like, the checkpoint is all the way back here for a reason, and there are times I was like, man, I wish I had a checkpoint at any point of these times. But it was brutal, but also felt rewarding. It felt satisfying getting to the end, like, oh man, thank fucking God, bro. Like, I'm so happy I got through it. But even then, the platforming in and of itself was just fun, like running around with your, like, dashing, the different abilities that you get. Like, it's just a whole lot of fun just making your way across the map in this game. It was very fluid, and didn't ever really feel like clunky or anything like that. Like, it was just genuinely like, I'm gonna just zip through this area, and if you knew what you were doing, then it flowed really well. Outside of platforming, moving on to the combat, I enjoyed the combat a lot. I will say there were some sections where I hated the monsters that blew up when you killed them. Very fucking annoying. Oh
my gosh, the little the little Jones. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Flying monsters with shields that had to be broken with the melee ability. I just felt like was hella rude. I gotta get all the way up there, and they don't even want to come down here. Because every time I come down here, they fly up higher, and I'm like, God damn it! So I have to like plan for when they get near the ground, or using a specific ability was important. It was very difficult, but at the same time, like, wasn't. And I don't even think the combat in and of itself was difficult, but it's like, if you didn't plan correctly, or if you try to, because there were times where I would try to mash through, but if they had shields or they had like a guard, I can't do that. Like, I was trying to turn my brain off, and they're like, no, you got to stay engaged. But the combat was fun. It kind of was akin to Guacamelee, if you've ever played that game. Like, similar to that. It was kind of like, it's a lot of free form. So, like, you're not really, like, put into any kind of, like, a bubble or, like, a play style. And being able to switch between range and melee, where it's, like, top notch. I'm really happy that they had that, because there were times where I felt like scrapping it, and there was times where I was just like, you know what? I just want to stay over here and shoot my blasts at them.
100%. So I'll kind of follow your lead and stuff like that. Okay. While I love platforming games, I am also a very impatient person when it comes to that type shit. So sometimes I will not proceed with as much caution, and the game humbled me. The game very much humbled me. I was trying. There was a section. There were 2 or 3 specific sections where I was literally sitting there for about like a good 20 minutes a pop, because I'm trying to get through it, and I'm trying to hasten the jump to do one thing, and it's like the game's like, nah, slow down. So you're not that guy, pal. He said go get some rest. You're not him. I'm like, all right, bro, thanks for that. But again, I'm just like, you know what? Listen, if Kalunga's teaching Zao patience, damn it, I'm gonna have some patience to try and get through it. So the platforming there was challenge to it. It wasn't just, jump here. There was actually a really good pacing of the movement mechanics that you were introduced to through the different powers that you got. And then again, the different sections that tested those abilities and tested the combination of those abilities which you already had. I really like those. I felt like I felt like I was always learning something new, and then the environments never really felt too stale as I progressed through them. So that was very nice. The combat itself, I freaking love this combat, man. I actually do. Again, to say the sun and moon thing is definitely a balance. Again, thematic piece, of course it is, but they really drove it home in this gameplay, bro. I found so much fun in switching up the style as much as I can, trying to look and plan a picture out in my head of what I wanted in terms of how do I approach a situation. Do I want to, freeze ray the zoner up top who's firing all the projectiles at me and stuff, and then I'll freeze ray him. I'll do a couple of combos down low, and I'll jump back up to him, maybe throw him, combo this guy up in the air, throw him into somebody else. Like, there's so many options, and it was creativity. At the end of the day, it was a very, very creative, it gives you a lot of creative freedom and creative license to mix it up how you see fit. I like that. I really did enjoy that. And especially with the varying enemy types, they weren't going to let you sit easy, as the game progressed, and it definitely picked up in terms of, again, the various enemies that you'll see, the different types and all that stuff. I found myself really locking in. Again, it doesn't give you a moment to sag off. There's no moment of rest or kind of getting bored with it, or drifting off or not being engaged. It warrants your attention. It warrants and demands your attention, and definitely in certain spells. Definitely in those combat trials, son. I ain't gonna lie. The second and third ones they're just, sometimes they were pains in the ass. I can't front with you. They're definitely pains in the ass, but I got through them, bro. I had to find the strategy, because we'll get spoilery later, but there's certain points of the combat where they introduce certain enemies, and again, they will absolutely ruin your life if you do not focus them or find a way to freeze a certain person, or throw a spear at another set of people and rock that way. There's just so many paths to the combat. There's so many openings to the combat. I'm not sure how you opened it. Question to you, Wen. I guess, what was your general approach to the gameplay? Did you lead in with the moon or the sun one, and then you kind of like switch it up? I guess, what was your general go-to for like enemy engagements?
For me, I definitely used the moon way more than I used the sun, but it really depended, right? Like, I would use, if they were at range or they were away from me, I would definitely use the moon, but I would always use a clip, and then while I'm recharging, use the sun. And if I knew that I could finish them off with the sun, then I would definitely just finish them, and then maybe switch back to moon if I needed to. But I always started with moon, unless I knew I needed to do big damage, because I love the moon, but towards the end of the game, you need to really switch it up with both abilities, because you're not going to be able to just, in the beginning, you could pretty much spam down some of the mobs real easy, no problem. But once you start getting to points in the game, like, I started realizing, well, if I deflected certain abilities, it actually did more damage than what I would have done just regularly attacking them. And that's the kind of mindset you have to go into it. Is like, you have to keep adapting the way you play, because you don't start off this, you don't finish the game the same way you started off. And even when you start unlocking new things, you're like, okay, well, now that I have this ability, I need to start using this more often. Now that I have this, I need to start using that more often. I loved the moon, though. I think the moon might have been my favorite, but I think by the end of it, it might have been 50-50. Yeah. To be honest, because of the whole having to switch back and forth between the masks so often.
Yeah, no, I hear. So yeah, and I actually have to say my approach probably was different depending on the situation. I think I let in like 60-40 with the moon mask more because I don't know what I'm running into. So I'm like, I'll stay at range just to make sure I'm good. But I would really opt for the fire mask when I see like a lot of enemies that are grounded and stuff, and I'm like, oh, let's keep this on the floor. But if there's like too many like aerial adversaries or whatever, I'm gonna hit them with the moon thing. I'll either freeze them so they don't fire a projectile and focus on the ground, or completely try and focus them, and I'll hit a burst of moon shots, and then just try and get them out the way as soon as possible so I can rock out with the rest of this stuff. Like there was so much variety in approach, and combine that with the environment. There's so many different ways to solve those problems, and I really liked how it was laid out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So that was super cool. And to kind of get as non-spoilery as we can about the story before we move on to more spoilery stuff, just with the themes, with the progression, with the dialogue and stuff, for an indie game, for this is their first video game and stuff, it's fully voice acted. It has a pretty decently sized cast for, I think had a few people going through. How'd you feel about the story, the outlay of the themes, the progression of it? Did you ever feel, was there any boredom at all? And how do you feel about kind of how, again, everything came together from the pacing, characters, themes, all that stuff?
I think the voice acting, phenomenal job. Absolutely. You could feel the emotion in almost every cutscene. I love the dynamic between Kalunga and Zhao. It is like, I want to say it was really great to see kind of like the relationship of like a very, very wise spirit of power alongside somebody who is very much emotionally charged, going headfirst into something that they haven't seen before. The best way I could describe it, if anybody's ever played a game called, I think it's called Indivisible. It's on Game Pass, but it's a similar concept of like getting, not necessarily in the other game it's like revenge for your father. In this game it's like trying to bring back your father from the dead, but having like a young kid trying to basically take on the world, do the impossible, like not knowing how to process pain and not knowing how to process these emotions, and just the beautiful moments that you like experience while encountering people who are going through life themselves and people who may have had situations where they're also going through loss. And it's something that is a game that I would recommend for anybody who's gone through anything similar, or even who have been in situations where it's like kind of scary. It talks about all of these scary emotions in a way that make you really think about it from a different aspects of it.
Yeah, I go back to the onion thing I said earlier. Like, it's just, they told so much story, not just what was said, to what people were seeing, to what they were playing, to what they were feeling. Like it was such a deep connection across all those different planes to tell the things that they had to tell. Again, some things of course felt pretty on the nose and pretty straightforward and stuff, but the whole thing was just a direct reflection of what, the journey that Zhao was feeling within. It was just a direct reflection of what he was going through that you saw on the screen and what you were playing through. Again, those moments that took you through, like, again, these moments of impatience at first. He just sees the goal. He's like, yo, is this thing, bro? Nothing's gonna stop me from getting to it. I don't care who's in the way. I don't know what's there. That runs into more obstacles about, again, just taking time, actually caring about the process and the journey instead of worrying about the end result of it. Just wanting things to go back to the way they were instead of, doing that kind of. It's just like, it's just so much emotion that went through there. They went to, the fear and anxiety, just talking about certain situations of just trying to make things better and not knowing how things are going to be on the other side, trying to cling on to things in the past. Just so many things. Again, happiness, peace. You see so many things that are interplayed across these feelings. Like, not to say that it's not a journey of grief, because it always is a journey of grief, but then these moments are always flooding because grief doesn't look like that to everybody. Grief might not always look like sadness and sorrow all the time to everybody. Grief might be a moment to laugh, a moment to be defiant, a moment to be, frustrated, angry. There's so many twists and turns to this, and again, the Metroidvania style of you kind of backtracking and going back in and around certain areas. I feel like space was also used very efficiently to portray the story and such. and kind of display the symbolism of a lot of what the game had. I feel like every time you saw an emotional shift or an environmental shift or another spot in the journey, you saw a waterfall, which is, again, I think was a really big tell for me to see, like, oh shit, like they're on it with these beats. They're on it with the beats to kind of show you these things. So that was really dope. Again, just the interplay between everybody was just, it was really cool. It was really cool. There's a character called Liana who you might have saw at the end of the demo. She was on the bridge, kind of going towards Ika Caramba and stuff. She was, again, really, really cool. And also, again, that reflection of Zhao in another way. And you kind of see that kind of play out. What's it called? Sabolana as well, which is another character that you see further into the story. We'll get spoilery in a little bit down the line. But again, that brings a whole different wave of emotion that comes down for Zhao. So it's just so well tailored. It's so well tailored across so many different points, bro. For an indie game, for this being their first game, they are so efficient at telling their story in as many places as possible. That's the thing that gets me. So much story exudes through so many pieces of this game that I couldn't help but stop and try and soak everything in. Like, I'm sitting there trying to look at the codexes, bro. I'm like, all right, cool. What are you trying to convey with this sort of thing? It was just a lot of good, man. I really enjoyed the narrative. I really enjoyed, you know, that story, whether you've been through something like that similar or not. I feel like there's charm in this, there's wit in this, there's so much emotional variety, and there's so much pointed, very, very well put and well measured, like, lines of dialogue and just points of interest in the story that, you know, people are going to enjoy this one. People are going to enjoy this one. And again, I completed this in about, like, I think, like 8 to 10 hours. I think I was like 8 to 10 hours, and I'm not sure how much time you clocked in, but I would even say maybe like closer to 10, 11, because these damn platformer sections was beating my ass. Some of them, all right, I'm not afraid to admit it, but that's about where I clocked out with it. I'm not sure how long you took to you know, complete it.
For me, I think it was about 9 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like 9 hours. I think I might have skipped like a challenge or two because I had a packed weekend and I wanted to get the game done before we talked about it. But I want to say it was about 9-ish hours. It's one of those experiences kind of similar to Stray, where it's like, it's not meant to be a long experience. It's meant to be a good one. And you get to enjoy a lot of the world and what they have to offer. And just experiencing it in that aspect was just not having to sit there and be like, man, it took me 35 hours to have these emotions or feel these emotions. It's honestly, like, it's needed. I don't want to have to spend that much time. Like, sometimes you just want to experience a good story, and it was exactly that. One good weekend, lock in, play it, have a bunch of shit to talk about, and honestly have a bunch of speculations that you can go and, like, bounce ideas off of, like, what could happen in the maybe another sequel, or maybe something in the same universe.
100%. And I feel like there's so much room for that type of thing as well, just kind of expanding what the Tales of Kenzera actually were. I mean, again, in this damn game alone, some of the powers you get and the stories behind them, they could lead to things in their own right, which could be a whole different, you know, that could lead to whole different projects in the future, depending on how they see fit. But there's so much light and potential and good quality with this series, and they could take this in a lot of different ways. I mean, again, I didn't mention it as often, but the soundtrack was bumping from second one. Open the game and just stop and feel the wind on your skin as you open this game. I will say it every single time, bro. Oh my goodness, I'll get into it later because there's something else that definitely reminded me of a certain game. But if you open that menu and you think of a certain game that I'm thinking of, if you know, you're on the right track. But I think there was so much love and there was so much quality execution by so many different moving parts on this OST. Just to really highlight, again, you're really Ybarra. You're really the boy that's in the future. You know, he's in a mandala and stuff like that, current day, present day. And that kind of, you know, the futuristic, the tech world and stuff like that, the sounds and synths that mirror that time, and then you're also looking into the story that you're playing as Zhao. So it's like, how do you play through those things at the same time to remind you it's not just Zhao is going through this journey, it's Zuberi. And I think the pacing of it as well, to kind of, sometimes I think a couple times they took you out of the game to kind of show Zuberi's perspective of going through things and how he's been coping with the story and where all that leads, and then going back into the story. I feel like that was a good reminder of like, yo, you know, Zhao's not alone. Zhao is going through the same story as a Zuberi. So for me, I was kind of keeping my ears open to where like the little futuristic things at play, you know what I'm saying, where everything was woven in so well. It was so well weaved, man. So many. The thread count was high as hell on this shit. The thread count was high as hell. That's as much as I can say. But I guess we can give our overall grade before we get to some spoilery stuff. I don't know if you want to do that.
Yeah, no, I think that would be perfect.
All right, cool. So what do you think? Do you want a letter grade out of 10? I don't even know how we want to slice this up. It's up to you though.
I guess I would give it I would say an 8. I feel like that's where I want to land. 8.5. I think it's a game with a lot of heart. And when I say a lot of heart, like, had this been even just a comic book, it would have been captivating. But the fact that you can play in this world and experience having these powers and being a shaman, it's just honestly an amazing experience. Very much heartfelt. You can feel the soul of this game very well. It is not overly long for any unnecessary reason. You get that, and there's a lot of content to dive into as well, like the challenges and just replaying the game in using different abilities and just having different play styles. I think it's a pretty solid game. Amazing, phenomenal first game, and I hope this isn't the last we hear of them.
100%. And speaking of, you know what I'm saying, I wish it was into a comic. Motherfucker, they do have a comic. It's in the main menu. So if you open this damn game up, you got a comic that's right there. And again, they said there was no words in it. You could just literally understand it by looking at the images and stuff. And I followed along pretty well myself. So it's dope. It's dope to see what they can do in other mediums as well. But I would have to agree. I'm saying 8.5. I think one of the biggest things for me is making sure the gameplay was smooth and solid. I think that was where I was going to try and like see. I was going to be a bit more critical because I've seen Metroidvanias that looked decent and stuff. They had some promise to them, but the gameplay felt a little bit lacking. It maybe didn't feel as sharp or as smooth as I wanted it to be. And I feel like they passed that test with flying colors. That was one of the biggest points of difference for me in this game. Like, how do you make it feel really, really good? How do you make it feel polished? How do you make it feel like this feels upper quality? This feels like this isn't their first game to me. Because I don't, you know what I'm saying? Not that I'm not naming names or whatever, but I played other Metroidvanias to where things, they had a good base, but they didn't feel as good. They didn't feel like it was inviting you back for more in a sense of their gameplay. So that they covered that base very, very well. I knew from minute one the story was going to be very, very solid. So they delivered on all of those things. There were so many really good twists and turns and parallels and things that you could apply from the game to your journey, to anybody's journey, to Zhao's journey. This was something that was made with pride, with love, and so much care, man. I really enjoyed that narrative a whole hell of a lot. Again, the music banging. That soundtrack will be bought. It better be on Spotify or something like that because I need it ASAP. I might need the vinyl too. We're going to work on that, but so many good things that kept me engaged in a very, very a tight, compact package. Again, it's about 8 to 10 hour game. Paid about what was it? What I think it's going for what, $20, $20, $30, somewhere around there. So it's not even like a $70 game for so much value you can get out of this. And I just liked the entire package, man. I gotta end how I started this thing. This game, in the best of ways, it's an onion, man. It's an onion. It's packed with so much good stuff that makes gaming better once you add it to it. You add this level of heart. You add this level of detail, story, again, gameplay consideration, the cast, all that stuff. You add it all together, and you got some good ass cooking. So I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it an 8.5. Definitely one of my favorites, and a really, really, really good game for this year, man. Definitely, if you have not, I highly consider you checking it out. I think it's gonna be worth your time. All right,
1000%.
Let's get to some spoilery shit. All right, this is your warning. This is your warning, people. If you're hearing this is your warning. I warned you. Okay, cool. Let's get into this, bruh. I don't even know how I want to start with this spoilery shit, but listen. All right, cool. I just want to talk before we get to everything else, what was your favorite moment from the game? I think, what was your favorite moment?
I think my favorite moment, definitely the ending and that twist was really, really dope. But I think the last boss, the third boss, the one that was like the son. Yeah. That was a really, really fun boss fight, and just like that story was amazing. I will say that I think that was a section that had a crazy ass lava platforming part.
Yes, that one after the boss. That shit was
so
killing me. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I was dying. Ow, bro, that I shit you not. That section I literally took like 22 minutes on. I can look at it in the recording. I was like looking at my OBS and I was looking back at the game. I was like, bro, this shit is fucking me up so bad. I was getting superstitious, bro. I started the level with the moon mask. I was like, all right, no, let me change to the sun mask as I respawn back in, because I think that's fucking me up right now. I think the frames is messing me up a little bit. It's my fault. It was on me. It was a really challenging section, but it was good. It's okay. But yeah, that section ruined me. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that part was annoying, but I want to say the boss fight before was really, really fun.
That was super fun.
And the last boss fight was also really, really fun as well. I did not like that last platforming session, but it was mostly because like that was that section that I felt like, I was like, man, a checkpoint halfway through here would be amazing. But it was definitely like, yo, this is. But it was also a test. Like that might have been like one of the last few hard platforming sections of the game. So I was like, all right, I get it. Like after beating it, I'm like, okay, it wasn't the worst, because this is like the last one.
Yeah.
But damn, that shit was brutal.
100%. And the funniest thing with that last thing, with the last boss, it's funny because literally it's just an amalgamation of all the other prior boss fights that we've had up to that point, which is again really, really dope. And I'm sitting there learning things that I should have known from before that I didn't think to do. Like when you had the projectiles coming at you, did you know you can just like use the reassemble reform button, like when you switch your mask to basically disassemble the projectile?
You talking about like that big ass rock?
No, not the big ass rock. The big ass rock, you do the
pull B thing or whatever.
Yes, the pull B, I forget the name, but something's might, that the LTB move where you just kind of burst through it, that's for the boulders. But when you have projectiles that were coming at you in the last boss fight,
I did not know that. I would literally using my blue mask to shoot them. That actually is way smarter. Damn, I wish I would have known that. You jump right. I learned it on like my second or third try with the Gagorib. So I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I could do this. And I was like, boom, and I didn't take damage. So I was like, oh shit, that's the one. And we just keep punching through the walls, bro. I was looking like the Kool-Aid man and shit. Fire inclusion that I think people just, people might not consider because you're just trying to fight through the boss. But real learning curve, real like strategy that goes behind a lot of this shit. Really, really cool. In the last boss fight with those projectiles coming at you, when you get the move that that you disassemble certain objects and you reassemble certain objects depending on which mask you have. Yeah, you can use that as the projectiles come towards you, and you can get rid of them. You get I wish I would have known that.
Corresponding to the color, because I noticed it. At some point during that boss fight, it was like first, second try, I was spamming the shit out of these buttons, bro. I can't even lie to you. Let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying? We're honest gamers over here. I was spamming the shit out of some buttons because I was panicking at one point. All right, I was like, yo, he's about to charge at me with all he has, and I pressed the right button, and I realized I got rid of all of the projectiles as he passed through me, and I was like, oh wait, I didn't know that. Oh, let's go. There's so many little hidden nuggets of gameplay snippets that like gameplay strategy and stuff that you can pull from it. You just gotta really try and apply yourself. Like, bro, that's why I really, really am pleased with the combat, because there's so much that actually stacks. You're not spamming one combo or one move and trying to get through the whole game and stuff like that. This game actually challenges you and tests you on what you've learned to a good extent. And again, it just provides that feedback of like, yo, everything that you've learned up to this point actually does come in play. And the pacing of the stuff that you learned was really, really good as well. I enjoyed that. Again, you got the grappling hook, and then you got the what's it called, the glide feature and stuff. All these things that progressively build up to you being this shaman machine. And when you get to the end, it's like, oh yeah, nah, I need everything now. This is all this stuff, and I think it was woven in very, very well. So that was fire. My favorite moment from this game was I think this was probably, it might not have been the biggest twist. Definitely the biggest twist was again, spoilers, Kalunga, you know what I'm saying, representing himself as Zhao's father. That's probably the biggest twist. That's fair. I'm not even gonna lie. Which is funny. We can talk about that in a second, just about how the whole story was kind of laid out. But my favorite moment was the Kiki Yaon, that boss fight, how that opened up, because you gave all the ingredients, you gathered all the ingredients like it was a regular fetch quest or whatever. I'm like, I was sitting there chilling, bro. I was sitting in there chilling. I was like, bro, let's get the ingredients, let's do all this stuff, we're good. I wasn't thinking nothing of it. I wasn't thinking nothing. I was like, give it to her, blah, blah, blah. You said, put the berries in the leaf, crush your hand. I was like, all right, cool, let's go, Sawalana, let's get up out of here. And she was like, he's like, why are you so weak or something? I was like, what? I stopped. Everything stopped in my tracks, bro. I was like, what? It was so like the slight amount of fear that came out of my voice. Like, what's she talking about, bro? I was dead ass shocked. I was very, very stunned by how quickly that turned, and that was really cool. I love Kiki Yaon, was probably my favorite boss fight. I absolutely love that one. The feeling of fear manifested in nature, the feeling of fear against change and all that stuff, and how it played out in the running sections against the darkness, and the boss fight itself, where like you had the locked hearts, he had to use the disassemble reassemble feature to unlock the heart, and also through there, I just love the environmental aspect, to where the darkness is all around you, but the light through the vines will show you where the heart is in the battle environment, so you can just fly to it and fly to the next one. It was relatively easy for me, but it's still my favorite one, just of how everything was laid out, how the setup was. That last little part when the damn Kiki Allen had a damn seizure and shit, and the camera just doing I was like, yo, relax, son. But fire, I absolutely love that moment. That is good writing, that is good just shock value and stuff. That was just a great use of a moment in the game. That's my favorite moment, hands down.
This game is just, and this game is just filled with so many good moments. Like it's just, every time I got into a new section, it was just a new experience, and like even seeing the progression of the character, kind of accepting the fact that like they can't control everything, and just no matter how hard they try, some things are just out of your control. And it was beautiful to see, like at the end, just seeing how everything kind of just played out.
Yeah, 100, bro. I actually had a running doc of just a bunch of shit that was going down and stuff, and how I felt like there was a whole plot points about how his mom and again how his mom left and stuff, and she went to some faraway land and stuff, and he resented her at some point, but along the way he kind of felt peace in that. It's like, yo, just, you can't change how she is in her nature. She was Ishtoka, you know what I mean? She was gonna be warrior. That's just in her heart, and I don't think she was built for a family, and that's just her. And he kind of came to grips with that, like he came to grips with a lot of different things, which was really cool. I just loved, there were so many nuggets that were laden throughout the story. Again, what's it called, just the incessant need to try and Liana in the game, she kind of hid the fact that Impundalu was her mother, which I was like, shit, son, you should have just said something. I'm gonna be real. But then she explained it of why she had to kind of let that go and not tell Zhao. But like the need for her to try and calm Impundalu down, instead of understand that Impundalu needs to go on to the next life and be away, like kind of that need to say, let's go back to how the way things were, and kind of like denial in a certain way. That was really, really, really cool. And again, just that reflection of Zhao, all these things that were laid out in the story were just a reflection of Zhao's journey in his head, and it was so well plotted across this game. I really, really, really enjoyed this. And again, the point there right towards the end kind of drove it home with Bomani and his son, which ended up being the Gagorib, that was a wonderful moment as well. It's kind of literally a direct parallel. Like, bro, you got to accept your son is gone. He accepted that, and it's like, damn, like it's like my man Keenan Ivory Wayne's popping up and saying message. Like it was just a lot of really, really good story weaving into so much of this damn game, and I appreciate it, bro. I really, really, really did appreciate it, man. This was good shit. Even in Ish Tolka, when you had like the enduring right of like how you how you're combating life and how you set yourself up for the rest of your life. There's like a young trial that you still could take, and then the enduring right, the three little pillars there, it was resilience, wisdom, and mercy. Like, and that's easily applicable to what Zhao was going through, and he literally was going through those things. He went through the enduring right himself to kind of achieve that peace and understanding. And by the time he gets to gets back to what's it called, what the pata no, I'm my pronunciation's gone, damn it, hold on, I'm gonna go back and get it right. But again, this the land, but before he goes to the land of the dead, what's it called? Where Patikatifu, thank you. Patikatifu. Damn, my pronunciation is off. I am butchering this shit like crazy, my fault. But yeah, by the time he goes back to get ready for the land of the dead in his final journey, is like I feel like he's like already knowing in his heart what needs to be done, and he sees the path that's already like there. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It was just wonderful how everything was just laid out. I really enjoyed it.
No, it was honestly a beautiful journey through and through. Like, go from beginning to end, every act just like drives home such an important message and an important like experience one needs to go through. And there are multiple times where, like, at the end of a chapter, I was like, oh my god, that was kind of heavy. And even just some of the small moments of like when you find the meditation spots, it's very strong emotional conversations that honestly some people have never even had until maybe this point playing this game.
Which is wild. They reminded me a lot of Jin Sakai's like reflection points in the springs in Ghost of Tsushima. They reminded me of that a lot, because literally they increased your health and they increased a certain stat line when you get in and out of them, but literally there was just points of reflection. There was a point to tell you, yo, like, this is what's happened in my life and in my story. We're just talking about these things. We're talking about, you know, life, death, and everything in between, like they stated. And it was cool to again have more of that journey woven into the gameplay. That is just that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I mean in the best of ways, bang for your buck, of like, yo, we're showing you, we're telling you as much as we're showing you, we're telling you as well, or how much we're telling you, we're showing you that this is what the story is. This is how things are outlaid. This is what he's feeling. This is what, you know, anybody can feel in this journey that you're going through. And I absolutely, I had a great time with it. I had a great time with it, man. My time was well spent. Absolutely enjoyed this shit. Yeah, I was about to say. Outside of that, shout out to the little yumbos that were on the fast travel points. Adorable shits. I need a plushie. I ain't gonna lie. I need a plushie. That shit is hard. I'm gonna be real frank, brother. I need a yumbo plushie. But yeah, that was cool. What's it called? I'm just like, I'm in shock how solid it was throughout. Really,
I wasn't expecting it to have this much of an effect on me. To be honest, I was kind of like, I went into it with like the mentality of like, oh, this is gonna be a really great experience, but like, I'm still thinking about it, and I beat it yesterday. I'm still thinking about moments of it, or even just like ways that this could branch off into maybe another game or like a sequel. Maybe we see Zhao's mom and we get to play through her storyline. Like, there's a lot that you could do in this world.
100, and there's so many places you could take it, man. Again, looking back at some of like the heroes and stuff, like the hook that you get is from an old shaman named Zawadi. You could talk about another set of shamans or whatever. You could talk about all the shamans that you got powers from in this space. Like, it's, the story's already there to be told in a sense. So it's just, this world has had a really strong foundation set for it, that's combined with a really good story, and they can take this a lot of different ways, man. Surgeon team, man, hats off, because this shit was good, man. It was damn good.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
Word. Any final notes before we wrap this up?
Check it out. If you're somewhat interested in this area, you're a fan of Metroidvanias, I definitely recommend checking it out.
100. I will say, I need more. Give me more. This story was fantastic. Absolutely take your time. Take a nice champagne, wine cooler, whatever y'all, you know what I'm saying, like to partake and drink with. Just water would be cool too. But Surgeon team, y'all did a smash up job. I think it's a team of about 35 people in terms of development team and staff. They did an absolutely smash up job to tell a poignant story with fun gameplay and an absolutely beautiful world. Again, indie games got the juice, man. This is another prime example of it, man. Indie games, they had the juice, and I don't think they're gonna let go anytime soon, bro. Absolutely enjoyed this. Really good story, and I know I'm gonna play this again. I don't know what mindset I'll be if I'll play this again, but this was an absolutely like really cool thing to get to experience. So Tales of Kenzera's out. Let us hope this is not the last time we see you. Tales of Kenzera universe, I'm almost certain at some point we're going to see you again in some different fashion. But yeah, greatness and the beginnings of continued greatness is what I'm seeing in the future of this series if they choose to continue it on. But yeah, man, done damn good. All right, let's get into the quick bites. I know we missed a few stories. Let's try and run through them, you know what I'm saying, as fast as we reasonably can. But there's quite a few of them that are in the mix. Let's get started with this one. So with the Ghost of Tsushima drop, that's coming to PlayStation on, coming to PC from a PlayStation first party title on May 16th. Ghost of Tsushima will also come with PlayStation trophies. The PC version will have trophies that will be, as the set is the same as the PS5 console. Full support for achievements on the Steam and Epic Store as well. So just more support from PlayStation on PC drops. How are we feeling?
Cool, I guess. I don't really give a fuck about trophies though. I'm like, well, I think after a while you stop caring. Like once you hit college, unless you're like a trophy hunter. And mad respect to those people. Yeah. No disrespect to people who fucks with trophies. I never really cared too much. I think it's a dope addition. I wish the UI on PlayStation in general was just better on PC, because I think they would have such a better time competing on the PC front if it wasn't pulling teeth to play a PlayStation game on PC. But shout out to them, man.
Yeah. It's just, again, more evidence that more stuff will be coming to PC, and PlayStation fans, those of you who are against it, you can't stop it, buddy. You can't stop that rain, brother. You can't stop that rain. Oh man. All right, let's keep it pushing on to the next one here. Let's talk about Take-Two Interactive. All right, Take-Two Interactive have basically announced that they're having another layoff of about 5% of their staff, and some games will be canceled in their next wave of these layoffs. Unfortunate news, but again, just within 6 months or so of GTA 6 dropping, how do you feel about this?
Bullshit, brother. What do you mean? What? Like, I'm sorry, man. I just don't think the bloated pockets of the CEOs and the executives at the top really should be allowed when you have to consistently fire people. Like, what is going on, bro? Like, you got, and what's gonna happen is that I feel a lot of the games and the game industry will suffer from having those people get laid off, because I'm sure in a lot of cases you have some people who have been with the company for years getting laid off, which then causes a lot of problems when they're like, hey, is there anybody around to fix XYZ? No. Now you got to train the people to fix these problems, where all these people who would have been there to be able to help with the problems are gone now. It's always layoffs, and it's never salary cuts, you know? Like, nobody ever wants to be like, I would love, that's the day I'll be happy, is when I see somebody say, Take-Two board of directors taking a big pay cut to help with the rising cost of video game making. Like, there's no way you guys are about to make record profits, and you're trying to like cut people's livelihoods just to make more record profits. Yeah, I hope nothing but the worst for these people.
They gotta cut profits to make sure they gotta cut I guess employees to make sure the record profits happen and shit like that. Like, bruh, like, come on, man. Come on.
Fuck the record profits, man. We should be praising more retention. We should be praising more people being like, hey, We didn't make the most money, but we've kept the most people employed. That shit would be a way cooler stat to see.
Literally. And on the games front, let's just hope GTA 6 is a knockout smash hit with no technical problems. Like, it's gonna sell despite itself. But let's as a people, let's talk about the more qualitative aspects of games and just things in life in general, okay? Let's not focus on the numbers that don't affect us because we're not getting any of that money. In fact, we're contributing like directly to that money that we're giving away where we're buying these things. So like, I don't know what type of level of like credit people have to claim or like glazing they have to give for a game that they bought. Who gives a fuck about these numbers, man? As long as they go into employee pockets, which is happening even less now. Like that's the only thing that really should matter in my opinion. Like are we going to take care of these employees that have put their blood, sweat, and tears and livelihoods, again, pretty much on the line for this type shit? Because people said, like, again, got to move back to the office, they do all this physical stuff. Let us not forget that while they've made GTA, Take-Two, or while they own GTA and all these other properties, Take-Two is still one of the worst practicing companies in video games today. Don't let GTA fool you by the fact that Rockstar and by extension Take-Two are not great at their work practices. They're not good. They're not. A lot of these people are bad across the gaming space. Take-Two was not exempt just because they have GTA, all right? Let's ask for better. Who gives a fuck about your profits, man? Except for like 6 of you in suits who are gonna again perish in 20 years. Like that's really it, bro. That's really it. None of us care. Let's have some more. Let's have better equity for the people who make these things happen. That's the bottom line. Ridiculous, man. But we can move on here and talk about Wizards of the Coast, who seem to have a very, very strict dominion over the Baldur's Gate franchise. It seems that they've been shopping around and opening conversations about what will happen with the next Baldur's Gate game, and apparently they've been approached and been talking to a lot of different partners. And there's a quote from their SVP Eugene Evans that says, "We certainly hope is that it's not the 25 years as it was from Baldur's Gate 2 to 3." Before we answer that, but there seems like there may be some conversations about another Baldur's Gate in the works. How do you feel?
I am not excited. They can talk all they want about Baldur's Gate. I will be patiently waiting for the next Larian game. I just don't see them after how well Baldur's Gate 3 did. I cannot imagine they're going to make the consumer friendly option. I cannot see them doing something consumer friendly, and I can't see somebody matching Larian in their design for this game. Because why Larian's games work so well, it's because they took their time with them. And I can't see...
Surprise.
You know what I'm saying? I can't see Wizards of the Coast being like, yeah, let's take our time with this next game. Let's give it another 6 years. I don't see that happening.
Listen, you remember that one part in Are We There Yet? The first one with Ice Cube, and then the little boys in the window talk about, "You're nasty bad man. You're nasty man." That's how I look at Wizards of the Coast right now, bro. After all the shit that I've learned in the past month about these guys, nasty bad man, bro. Y'all can take Baldur's Gate somewhere, bro. We don't want that. Where's the next Larian stuff at, bro? Larian, we need you. That's all I'm concerned about, brother. Man, we can slide on to the next one here, and let's talk about Destiny 3. Yes, Destiny 3 is apparently in development. There's been a lot of rumors and talk around the mill of Destiny 3 being codenamed Payback. Apparently, there's been a quote that said Payback refers to Bungie getting payback against themselves by creating something that they hope everyone will love. But it seems like that's the likely thing that is up next for what's it called? Bungie. Yeah. So, your thoughts? Destiny 3, what do they need to do to get right and have a smash hit after how Destiny 2's ending?
I don't know, Trip. I don't know. I don't want Destiny 3. I think we should stop. I don't like. The problem isn't it's Destiny 2 isn't the problem. Bungie's the problem. That's what I think. And unless Bungie's gonna be like, hey, we're changing our monetization to be more consumer friendly, I will not be partaking. I'm not even partaking in quote unquote the final shape. And that's the last, I already bought everything else. I might as well. I don't even care anymore, bro. I'm so burnt. I don't think I want a Destiny 3. I think Destiny to me would have been really good as like maybe a single player experience or something. I don't know. I would like it. That would be cool. I'd pay for Destiny 3 if it was like a one game, but I'm not tapping into a Destiny 3 at this point. Have fun with that, Bungie. I've already seen the lights. You will not get more money from me unless I have an egregious amount on me at any given point in time. So I will be fine with not partaking in any Destiny.
Yeah, you've already seen the light fall. All right, I'll get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry.
I hate you.
I'm sorry.
That just took a horrible final shape. I hate you. I hate us.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Oh shit. Well, yeah, nah, listen, I'm not checking for Destiny 3, brother. Unless you change that monetization model, nobody cares. I'm not putting a mortgage out for some DLC packs and extra glimmer or whatever the fuck it is called now. Nah, I'm good. I'm okay, buddy. But we can slide on next and talk about just something that's really interesting. People have been kind of calling doom and gloom because the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, apparently the sales projections are very much under what Square Enix was expecting. The rough figure or range was about half of what Final Fantasy VII Remake made at this stage. So I guess, Wen, your thoughts on this and how they might feel about it?
Not surprised. So the problem, I think, comes down to the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake was something that a lot of people really wanted. They really wanted that itch scratched because they've been buying for this game to get remade. It did amazing, but let's look at what happens after the game initially dropped, right? A year later, it comes on PC. A year later, we get Final Fantasy VII Remake Intragrade, which is a better version, and they do this all the time with their Final Fantasy games. They drop a regular version, then they drop an enhanced version, and they drop the complete version. Like they kind of really saturate their own market. So if I'm somebody who I haven't even beaten Final Fantasy VII Remake, so I had no interest in buying Rebirth. So when it comes down to why some people didn't buy, maybe they're not done 7. Maybe they just got the PC version. Maybe they're waiting out for the PC version, or maybe they're just waiting for it to go on sale. Like there's just a lot of things that could go into it. Their projections, I don't think should have matched similar to Remake because those are two different games, right? The people who were waiting for Final Fantasy VII Remake played it. Maybe they didn't enjoy it. That's another factor in too. Is like it was good, but some of those old people might have been like, man, I wanted this to be turn-based. Like it could be a variety of different reasons. I'm not surprised. I think I'm more surprised at the fact that they assumed they was gonna do buku numbers. Yeah. But it's Final Fantasy VII. Like I think it's valid to think that, but I'm not. To me, this isn't shocking at all.
Yeah. It's just. I think also what might play into it a little bit as well is like, again, Final Fantasy Remake, it was the longest wait in between games. Again, one of the most popular JRPGs of all time. People are chomping at the bit to get it. And when they realize that the game's kind of sectioned off into, what's now to be threes, the game's basically chopped up into thirds. I feel like the excitement has gone down a good bit because they're like, oh, damn, we thought we were getting the whole game with 1. It's kind of chopped up into 3. Yes, a lot of people will come back, but maybe they didn't get the whole Final Fantasy VII that they thought they were going to get in the remake. Maybe some of the naming might have to do with it. So again, the content funnel, I completely agree with, has to play a factor and plays a role in this as well. Just getting so much Final Fantasy over the years that maybe it's just slowed down what they might have thought. And again, it probably isn't an acceptable range, but maybe not for what they think of Final Fantasy VII, the remake trilogy, because they want to sell bananas buku numbers and stuff like that. But it just might not be the case with how much you've pumped into Final Fantasy VII over the past 4 years. Like it's been a lot. It's been a good amount of time, and that's a relatively short turnaround to expect major numbers when you put about 3 or 4 releases into this series. In Final Fantasy VII alone, not given Final Fantasy 16 and all stuff like that that's been coming through on the other side as well. So I think it was to be expected. Again, the hype is just naturally going to funnel down the more you get remakes of Final Fantasy VII and you chop it up into pieces. I don't think as many people will come back in waves off the first drop. So yeah, it's just a spacing. To me, it's just a bit of the spacing and a bit of the saturation. So I fully agree with you there. It's just a bit too much Final Fantasy VII, and that might have hampered some consumers' expectations of, oh, maybe I thought we were getting the whole game remake, or when is this next one coming out? I'm already stuck with like 3 Final Fantasies that are in my backlog. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. I might as well just wait on Rebirth. So it could be a lot. It's a mix of things. It's a mixed bag of different things, but I think they'll be fine to their expectations. But maybe in a spot where Square Enix needs big wins, considering financial situations and where they were close to, off the back of things like Forspoken and stuff like that weren't as financially fruitful as they wanted to be. I know maybe they're hoping for out of the park astronomical numbers from their flagship, but with how they outlaid stuff, I think the saturation might have slowed them down in the long run. Yeah, we can slide on here and talk about the next thing. Let's talk about Take-Two again, because apparently there was a rumor coming through that we have an incoming announcement about Mafia. Yes, Mafia. I think the last time we heard about them was about some remaster work that was done, or remake work on the original Mafia trilogy and stuff, but there could be a new game that's in the works. We're hearing something is coming from the Mafia, Mafia universe, Mafia something series. But when do you want to see anything from them? Is there something specific that you want to see from that's going down? How do you feel,
man? And I may kick myself for this, because I don't know how diverse the Mafia. Like, I don't know how they would approach this, but like, I would like to see like a cartel game. Like, that would be pretty sick. I like the Mafia like concepts. I haven't gotten too deep into the first 2. I really wanted to get the remake, but I didn't have the bread when it came out.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for like a good sale to get all 3, and maybe I'll play through all of them. But like, this might be the last answer to the GTA question. Not saying that we need anything to compete with GTA, but I liked Saints Row. I like that Mafia was a game. Like, those were like good third-person shooter open world games that I enjoyed. I played a little bit of Mafia 3. I didn't get to beat it, but I think that the concept of Mafia is still so strong. We could definitely see another game from them. I would love to see like maybe like, or like a Triad, or like a Yakuza type of vibe. Like, I'm interested to see how more they expand, because I like Mafia 3, how it took a different approach to the genre.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's very, very interesting that they could be expanded upon. Because the first 2 had to do with like the Italian Mafia, and then having the third one having to do with like taking down the Mafia. Like, having these different aspects would be really dope. And I want them to keep going, because there's a lot of room, there's a lot of untapped potential there.
I agree. We could go in a lot of different ways with it. They would need the a bit of the cultural nous to make sure those things in Mafia is really covered well. Again, it's just people have their connotations of what Mafia is. There's a Russian Mafia. There's a, what I'm saying?
Even that too.
A Czechoslovakian Mafia, or a mob or whatever. Like, there's a lot of different ways you could slice
Amish
this pie.
Mafia.
Yeah, exactly, bro. On the horse and carriage on the freeway, causing trouble and shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways they could slice the Mafia franchise. So if they do take a bold step and kind of go outside of the mob that we know with, like, again, with Sal and stuff, and that old, again, the old tried and true formula that they know with Mafia 1, 2, and parts of 3, because again, the guy from 2 was in the Mafia 3, I'm pretty sure. But if they kind of go off the beaten path and provide different context of what the Mafia looks like in their games, and a different set of a family entirely, that could provide some points of difference. I think that could be a really good route for them to go. Word. All right, let's slide on to this news. We have heard word that Kena Bridge of Spirits, yes, Kena Bridge of Spirits from Ember Labs, may be coming to Xbox very soon. Now, apparently the deluxe edition was rated by the ESRB, and apparently it is somewhat on the way for an Xbox Series XS version. So we could be getting Kena Bridge of Spirits on Xbox. How do you feel about that one?
That's dope. I think that works out really well for them. Really good game. Definitely needed to expand on other platforms. Happy to see gamers being able to play games on different consoles. Yeah.
This was a game that I never wanted to be held behind, any exclusivity. I really want everybody to try this. I've dubbed personally, I've dubbed those games that have like, they're about less than 12 hours, less than 12 to 15 hours or whatever, really compact story, shorter games, shorter, fun, experimental, different games. I've kind of labeled them for my personal taste, like Can of Bridge of Spirits games, like that bracket. Like, again, you could put a Tales of Kenzera Zao in that bracket. You could put a Ravenlock in that bracket. You could put a whole different bunch of things in that bracket, but I always dub it because that's the first game I played in recent memory that fit that mold. So I love this game. I think everybody should experience it. It's going to be like 8 to 12 hours. Really, really, really cool game. Beautiful style. Again, just lovely stuff. Cool combat. A lot of really cool like just environmental abilities with the rot and like the little monsters that you're gonna find and build up as you go. It's cool shit. So I really recommend everybody get a chance to just try it, bro. Give it a shot. Can of Bridge of Spirits. Love that game. All right, we can slide forward and talk about, which is funny, it's not even in the trailer trove, because this is a specific reason. Let's talk about Invincible. Yes, Invincible, the comic, the show that is on, Amazon and all stuff like that. Apparently, they've been crowdfunding a game. Skybound Entertainment has been crowdfunding a game about Invincible. Again, their Skybound's the team behind The Walking Dead and stuff, those games and all that. So apparently they're thinking of a AAA game that could be in the works. 509,000 has already been raised. There's a $5 million max goal, but I'm pretty sure they've already broken their first milestone of 500,000. So that's insane. When a AAA Invincible game, what do you think?
I don't know if I really want it. Not trying to be a hater. I like Invincible, but I guess I'd have to let it. I'm very mixed on it because it could either be cool or it could either just be low key a little bit of a cash grab. I don't know what I would have want from an Invincible game.
But this is Skybound, so this would be like a Walking Dead game, like Lee and Clementine, like those types of games.
Oh, that does change things. Still on the fence, but that I'm more open to than a like action adventure game.
Word. No, fair. I think Skybound will cook with that format. I think they would cook with Invincible. I think if they had,
they did good with Batman.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely smashed Batman out of the park. That was ridiculous. That's honestly one of their best ones. I think that's a top 3 one in my opinion. Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, and Batman. I think that's a solid 3. But yeah, I think if they had this IP, I think they could cook. Honestly, if they have their own original story and maybe have some deviations or cuts in their own right, they'll work closely with the team. I know that for sure. The story will be on point. I would have definite hopes for this game if they really steam forward with development, though. A storytelling, Skybound, like Invincible joint, that would be hard. To me, I think that would be hard. All right, let's slide forward and let's talk about Larian Studios. They've popped up again. They've had their little say, and apparently they are already hard at work on their next 2 projects, which are based on original IPs. They have not divulged what IPs that those might be, but they basically said they're moving on from again D&D. Baldur's Gate is no more for them. They're on the way forward. They're looking at their own things, and the team is hard at work to do what they believe is going to be their best work yet. How do you feel, and what do you want to see from their IPs?
I want Divinity 3. I want another Divinity game. But I will pretty much take anything, honestly. I'm really interested to see what they do. They put a lot of good work into their games. And maybe 2 of them, if it's 2 games, I feel like one could possibly be Divinity 3. And another one could maybe be a smaller title, maybe a shorter title. Branching out, seeing what they're getting their feet wet in another area. But I have a lot of faith in them. I am excited to see what they come up with because they actually give a fuck. So I can't wait to see what they do.
Word. Interesting. I just keep going, Larian. Keep going. Again, you've escaped from the nasty Batman Wizards of the Coast. Do what y'all gotta do, bro. Do what y'all gotta do. I'm not even mad at it. But all right, we can slide on to another thing here. Let's talk about a really interesting conversation that started over the past week and change. So the tipping culture, as it pertains to video games, there was a kind of a whole quote by Mike Ybarra, again a former executive that worked at Blizzard and Xbox. Basically, he kind of said that he kind of wishes that games that he enjoyed and he played a lot, they had the option to have a donation button or a tip button that can go directly to developers. You know, it's kind of like a bit of a, you know, different deviation from like, you know, just, oh, make sure you tip or whatever the thing, you know, tip your servers or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But having a tipping button in games for developers, how do you feel about that one?
Yeah, a fucking brilliant idea. And we should also we should cut their pay and make it so that they just earn money through tips, you know? And then that way we can split it among the house, so that when we go and buy copious amounts of cocaine that Mike is fucking snorting to make these kind of dumbass ideas, we'll have some funds to use it on. Like, what the fuck am I don't know what other, like, you ever had a friend who was bad with money? Like, they have a good job, but they just don't know why their money keeps being lost. And then they open up their like bank account and they have like 1 million subscription services to shit they don't even know. Like, this is what it feels like. It feels like the money we're giving them, we can only give so much before it comes down on y'all. At this point, if y'all can't give up the fact that y'all need 7 yachts out on the marina, maybe we should just have fucking 2D graphics at this point. Because I don't know what else you guys want. Like, more money? I'm tipping them more money? I thought that's what cosmetics were for. I thought that was the microtransactions were for. Is that not a tip? I just paid $20 to look like John Wick. Mm-hmm. $20 full dollars. That's a full game. What is that? I know that's not worth $20, bro. I know for a fact that's worth $20. I'm giving you, like, I'm doing this as like, hey, here's the extra $10 as a tip to y'all. Man, fuck y'all. I'm not tipping for shit. Fuck that.
Yeah, my thing with tipping is that I think that in earnest, at heart, I think that is a really it's a really well-intentioned idea. It is a well-intentioned idea. You know, again, he's like, yo, if the game was dope, he's like, yo, I just want developers right to their pockets. I want you guys to have this money, da 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 da. But I think there's no way in hell any of these companies would ever set that up fairly or in earnest to where they'll get the money that they get. I don't think they'll ever do that. I mean, if you want to go so far as like, if you go to the roll credits and you see some, you know, notable names and stuff like that you want to give some money to, go ahead. I don't know if you're going to cover the whole team, cool. But I just think that paying a solid wage for the work of developers would be a good thing for this whole industry to do. I may sound crazy to some people. It may sound like a foreign concept, but paying people a good amount of money and dinero for the work that they do seems like a fair trade-off, as opposed to getting some tips like you work at a fucking Chili's. I could be wrong. I could be when I could be wrong. I don't know.
You're wrong, bro.
Listen, it's just wild to me that we're like, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad idea at heart, or the intention is bad. It's just, why the fuck would we tip when we can just, again, get these people a good wage? Why can't these companies pay people a good wage? That's my thing. I don't think tipping is necessary. Tipping shouldn't be necessary in a culture, you know what I'm saying, that should pay people well, that should pay people decently enough for the hard work that they put in, for the level of crunch, overtime, all this stuff, just to get games out the door. I think we should probably be looking in the source of the direction rather than trying to paper over the cracks of what's there. That's just me, though.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Mike, how's about you tip the devs? How about you start tipping the devs?
Yeah, 100, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, shell out some of your pocket. They got cash apps and stuff like that. If they're so inclined to do that, go right ahead. But I just don't think this should be a widespread practice, knowing that there's bigger fish to fry in this lane of thought. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we can keep that there. But let's talk real quick about Nintendo IndieWorld. We had an IndieWorld that happened this past week. There was a couple of indie titles there. Sorry, no Silk Song. I know Kendall is in tears slightly, but it's okay. Just a quick 20 minutes of some indie titles. What stood out for you, Wen?
Oh my god, the personality test was like really, really interesting. I was like, what a what a interesting concept to put into the game. But I also kind of fucked with it. Like I don't know. I felt like this showcase was a lot of weird shit.
Yeah.
But obviously like Untitled Cat Game, which is not the name of the game, but like Little Kitty Big City was dope. I'm trying to think of what else was. Oh, the is it Anton Blast?
Yeah, Anton
What
Blast.
it looks like, yeah, it looks like Pizza Castle, whatever. I don't know if it's made by the same people or not, but that game looked really, really bananas. It's very similar to like Wario World is what it looked like. But those games are dope, and Europa was definitely a standout. It looked really cute. It looked like, hey, what if Breath of the Wild was just about vibing? You know?
Nah, I hear it. Again, I only had eyes for one game in there, really, truly. TMNT Splintered Fate. You already know what time it is, man.
I look good.
More co-op action, which we won't get on after a while. I'm signing up for another session, baby. I'm signing up for another round of that. I'm down to do some more of that. So that looked really cool. But outside of that, just a quick IndieWorld. Kind of sucks that we didn't get what's the name? Silk Song, but you know, we'll see what happens with it down the line.
I'm not surprised though, because like we're not in that time frame yet. If I had Silk Song confirmation as Nintendo, I'm waiting like the 2 months before I drop that shit, you know?
Yeah, honestly, I completely agree with it. I understand. But yeah, no, that's fair. And that's all we had for the quick bites, man. We got through a fair bit of them joints. So let's just get to the remaining stories that we have on the show. So let's talk about Hades 2. Hades 2, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a technical test drop for Hades. It's had a whole bunch of, again, new looks, gameplay, snippets and stuff. We're in the shoes of a new character called Melano, just a complete different playstyle than Zagreus of the first game. I guess we're fighting against Kronos in this game. And, you know, again, pretty easy to get into and stuff. You don't have to know about the first game and all stuff like that. But a lot of stuff that we did see in the technical test and gameplay previews that we got. So, how are you feeling about what you've seen from Hades 2?
It looks good, man. It looks like it's shaping up to be good. What I wanted to see is a release date. That's what I would have wanted to see. But it looks really dope. Hades 1, obviously a banger. I am really excited to see where they go with the second game. Like it's hard to follow up a game like Hades. Like it's really hard to follow up. And I'm happy that it's very similar to they're not doing like the Risk of Rain route where they're like, we're gonna switch the whole game up. Now it's a third-person game. But that in and of itself is gonna make you be compared to the original a lot. So I really hope that they can bring something that players are gonna be really excited for. But honestly, even just the regular Hades, if this was even just Hades continuing the story, they're already in a good spot. I am excited to play. I don't think I got into the playtest, but I definitely can't wait to get my hands on this.
Yeah, likewise. I have no other words except drop the damn release date, brother. Where are we at? Where's the updates? I need that by summer. You got till summer, brother. Got till June. TikTok,
Please.
TikTok, man. But yeah, we can slide on to the next topic and let's talk about this because there was a lot of controversy that stirred up about Star Wars Outlaws. After we had a quick initial kind of impression of it and talked a little bit more about it, there's been a debacle that sprouted about Ubisoft's season pass strategy, and upon further review it seems that the season pass and I guess upper ultimate editions of the game contain a mission or a set of missions. I'm not sure which is which, but I believe at least a mission that is locked behind a paywall of the season pass. I believe it's a Jabba the Hutt mission specifically that's locked behind the season pass and nobody outside of it will be able to get it. A little bit of a quick squint of what's going on over there at Ubisoft with this game. When your thoughts on this debacle?
I thought that shit was stupid, but it's par for the course for Ubisoft. Like, I am not surprised they did this shit in the slightest. Quite literally, almost every time they drop a game, they think of a sick ass idea and make that shit, and then they make that shit DLC. I'm looking at you. Mario plus Raging Rabbit sparking whatever Rayman DLC. Like, that would have been cool to just have them in the fucking game. And maybe that shit would sell more units if you had that in the fucking game. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine that shit. Imagine watching the launch trailer or the second or the last trailer that they dropped for this game and seeing Jabba the Hutt and being like, oh, now I gotta tap in. But now you can't even advertise this shit with the main game, because then you're lying. Because then people are gonna play and they're like, there's no Jabba the Hutt here, and they're like, well, Jabba the Hutt is actually DLC. Bro, there's a D that you need to
outright. They're not gonna tell you that outright.
Like that, and that's what's so nasty about it, bro. Like, it's par for the course for them. The same way Capcom is gonna put meaningless microtransactions in your PlayStation store and your Steam store of shit that you don't need. Like that. Don't get me wrong. Bad. It's stupid, but it's not harmful because it's shit that you really don't need. It is stupid. It is good to criticize. I think that is fine. But it's also really smart to understand not to compare those two things, because there is one person just being like, hey, here's extra bullshit that you can find in game and you can pay real money for if you don't want to find it in game. Here's shit that you cannot find in game unless you pay for it. And this is why Ubisoft will continue to take L's and continue to say dumb shit like, hey, maybe you guys shouldn't own your games. Like, this is the problem. Do you guys not see that there's an issue here, brother? We need to tighten up. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing, bro? You're so, oh my god. They're not smart.
This is my thing, bro. Last week we were literally excited to actually talk about Star Wars Outlaws. We literally were, honestly. I think there is a lot of problems with this game. I think it's great. It's always nice getting new stories from the Star Wars universe that aren't involving, that don't involve Skywalkers directly and stuff. So in any format that comes, I will be excited. But immediately the momentum from the mystique, or again, the little bit of the, trying to figure out this game, the excitement or whatever, building up the game, the hype, in whatever form that may come, it's now being overshadowed by this situation, because you guys choose to be greedy at every single turn because you're in a financial strait. And one, that's also y'all fault for paying for Skull and Bones and making that whole thing even get developed. That's a whole nother thing. Sorry for the random strait, but it is partly their fault. But this is the thing that kills me though. It's a single player game, and I understand single player content being dropped in DLCs like months after. I understand developing that stuff months after and not being ready months after. The Jabba the Hutt mission is ready day one. That is a day one thing. That is something that if there was no season pass, yes, let's play it. It's there, it's available. But you're forcing to cut your content offering short and only give a certain player base for $40 extra per person for the season pass. And who knows how often or how little you're going to drop content with that season pass. Like, for me, it's so scummy. It is scummy. It's just like, bro, it's a single player game. How much can you commodify single player content to the point where, like, bro, you're locking missions, you're locking content behind paywalls for no other good reason than, hey, we need more money from y'all. You're gonna have to fork up $40 more if you want to play an extra mission and see Jabba the Hutt. Like, to me, that's insane. To me, that is crazy. I don't understand. I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of their PR meetings. I would love to be a fly on the wall just to see how they perceive their own PR, their own marketing, their own brand perception in the market today. I would love to be in those rooms. I would love to hear Yves Guillemot's conversations about this, because there's no way they can think they're perceived as totally, good people, totally like good, sane, normal, celebrated studios in the gaming space. And again, this ain't got nothing to do with the developers and stuff like that. None of them folks. They trying their hardest to make great games. This is down to the decision makers who say, oh yeah, let's put this behind a season pass. I'm sure people will love paying $40 for one extra mission for like, a good 3 or 4 months. What is that? What part of the game is that? What part of the game is that? No, it's wrong. Ass. We move, bro. Ubisoft, man. How can you keep running into L's like Wile E. Coyote runs into walls? Like, I don't understand what's up with these people, man. It's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous at this point, when.
Yeah, it's nasty. And but again, coming from Ubisoft, I'm not surprised whatsoever. I honestly would be more surprised if you would have said Ubisoft adding all missions in their games. Mm-hmm. I'd have been like, what? Like, you would have got me on that one.
Facts. Brand perception in the gutter, in my opinion. We'll see what they do this summer, man. It's going to be interesting if certain things don't pop up at Ubisoft Forward, man. Going to be interesting times indeed. But let's slide on to the trailer section with more watchable media, the animes, the TVs, the movies, and all that good stuff. We got 2 quick stories for you. First and foremost, Disney's adding like a new feature, a brand new innovative breaking feature. All right, we're gonna have live channels that are all stacked in multiple different ways. You can watch different, genres, movies, films, and TVs that are constantly rolling on a 24-hour basis. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what it's going to be called, but there's multiple live channels. You can have like a guide, you know what I'm saying? There might be like a different, like one for ESPN, one for like Disney, Disney Junior and stuff like that, or Disney Kids. I mean, what do you make of all this? I'm trying to figure out what to wrap my mind around this crazy new innovation.
I just have never seen anything like it before in my life. It's, dare I say, revolutionary. Imagine sitting down in front of your TV and taking the choice out of what you get to watch and having to tune in at specific times. It's almost nostalgic, really.
What?
This shit is stupid, if you ask me. Like, I don't know why we decided, I guess like the only way this shit makes sense is if like you're walking in and you're like, man, I don't know what to watch. Sure, I'll just click on Marvel whatever. But it's like dumb. And I feel like the reason it's stupid is because they're gonna hit you with that, oh, we're also increasing our prices shortly after that. And it's gonna be like, okay, all right, buddy. And they're like, why did you increase your prices? Because we added channels. Like, what do you go fuck yourself, bro? What do you mean? I don't care. I hate streaming now. Streaming sucks. This shit is awful. I'm searching for the One Piece is what it feels like I'm out to start doing.
Type 5, bro. You gonna hear that? You gonna hear me in the background absconding with some allegedly, but you motherfucker just made cable. You just remade cable. How do you remake a service? What are we doing? What are we doing? Bro, nah. Man, before I heat up, man, let me get off this damn topic, bro. You waste, man. Ridiculous. Anyways, let's move on to the next story real quick. Let's talk about One Punch Man, okay? One Punch Man, the anime, Saitama, all that good stuff. Apparently, a live action project for One Punch Man is in the works. Apparently, Rick and Morty writers Dan Harmon and Heather Ann Campbell are writing the script. Justin Lin is set to direct. I believe Justin Lin is from the Fast and Furious movies, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he is from the Fast franchise. And I believe like the second Star Trek after the remake version, so like 2016. But how do you feel about a live action One Punch Man?
By those people, not excited at all. I mean, not excited at all, period. But by, like, Saitama, 20-minute Avenger, 20-minute Saitama. Like, no, I'm good. No. I don't think. Is Dan Harmon a One Punch Man fan? Like, I like some of the Rick and Morty episodes, but what does he know about this franchise? And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, I hope that this is a wrong take. I don't know how invested he is into the anime, and I really hope this isn't just like, hey, I work in the biz, I know I can get a hold of this, or somebody being like, yo, I got the rights to a live action One Punch Man, I'm cool with Dan Harmon, like I'm gonna make this shit shake. I have no high hopes for this. I don't have high hopes for any live action anime. This much less so, but we'll see what happens because they're not listening to me.
Yeah. This is my thing. Why does he have a penchant for bald people who have somewhat of superpowers at this stage in their lives, bro? First you take Vin Diesel and he becomes a superhero, and now you take One Punch Man, Saitama, another bald man. Justin Lin, I know what you are. Brother. I see you loud and clear. Don't worry. It's all right. But yeah, I have no idea, and I have no high hopes for this. Very much so. The writing for that, maybe the Rick and Morty guys could make it work. Maybe, but I have very low expectations for this one. I'm just gonna have to hopefully be wowed and they meet the very low bar that I've set for this. So I guess I really guess that's the only thing. I just gotta shrug my shoulders and say I don't know what they're gonna do. Maybe the effects could be cool because the Fast and Furious, folks, they have good teams behind them. But everything else, Not sure. It's gotta be ridiculous though. It's gotta be ridiculous visuals. That's all I know for sure.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the draw to it. And will I watch it? Oh, absolutely. But it really, the people involved is really gonna change how many libations I'm gonna need going into this. And maybe I might need to take a mid screening break to acquire some more.
Hey man, we'll see, bro. But if they got this man Saitama in a white tee and talking about family and stuff that we don't know about, I don't know what we're gonna think. So let's proceed with caution, guys. Proceed with caution. All right, and we got one more story that I actually missed outside of the trailer trove. I completely forgot about this. I cannot read or look at the screen because my eyesight is terrible. But let's talk about the gaming space itself. All right, the gaming space, how people feel, and there's been a stat line that was dropped, I believe from the GameDeveloper.com. Their business section is talking about sustainability and live service games. Apparently, the prevailing headline was that 70% of gaming developers are concerned about live service game sustainability, and their biggest concerns are gamers losing interest in live service games, competition from other live services, rising user acquisition costs, rising development costs, competition from other entertainment, just a lot of things. But the main nugget here is that developers are scared that sustainability of live service is just not gonna happen, or it's gonna get less and less fruitful in the years to come. How do you feel about this?
I'm not surprised. I am one of those people who is very much over live service games. I don't play many. The only live service games I play are ones that like the homies play. And would you consider Helldivers live service? I guess.
Technically, it is, because it has because it has growing battle paths and consistent updates. They're all free, but it is a live service. It's not it's not a shitty live service, I'll tell you that one.
Yeah, no, it's not. But like, I feel like most people just lock into 2 or 3 that they really fucks with like that. And when I say 2 or 3, I don't even really play 2 or 3 at a time. It's like 2 or 3 that I will cycle through. Right now, it is Helldivers, and I play League with my girlfriend. Like, those are the only 2 live service games I'm playing right now. Anything else is not even in the rotation like that. I have already moved past them. I have such a fucking fat ass backlog that I'm right now I'm playing Total Warhammer 3. Like that shit is fucking old. And there's just so many games that I can enjoy without having to worry about the next battle pass or the battle pass I'm on expiring, or having to jump in and being like, oh man, I really got to go in there. And it feels like a job, low key. It feels like, man, I gotta go get that Avatar Korra skin. Let me go ahead and lock in and play some games of Fortnite. Even though I don't feel like playing Fortnite, I'm gonna play it because I want to get I gotta get the shit before it goes away. Live service is just, I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it ever really was sustainable. It's something that a lot of people need to come to terms with, is that like, this just isn't the best move anymore. I think a better idea would be to just make less expensive, smaller games than making full, like 40, like making like Call of Duty battle pass driven games. It just doesn't really make sense anymore in this there's so many games out right now. There's so many people that have such a huge market share. For example, a game like X Defiant, who's dropping Call of Duty for this, right? If the game is good, I would play it, but am I really gonna start paying money towards this? No. I'm already locked into the other bullshit shooters that I play on the regular. I think that some live service games every now and then isn't a bad idea to drop. Like, hey, let me drop an X Defiant and then like see if that shit catches on. If it catches on, we keep pushing. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But dropping, I feel like we have new live service games damn near every month. Like, they're dropping at the rates of single player games, and it's just not sustainable in the slightest, because a single player game, I can jump into it at any point in time. A live service game, if I don't jump into it the day it drops, it will die, and then I will never jump into it again. All that shit is lost. If I don't buy Control the day it drops, I could cop it on a sale. I could cop it later down the line. I could play it later in my life. It's not that big a deal. But like, these live service games, you're putting a lot of money and effort into a game that might eventually just straight up die, and nobody will play it, and then it's just a waste of time and effort and money.
Yeah. This is my thing, guys. Let's be real. live service games have literally been a tired concept for over a decade now. At least a decade. All right. We've seen it just affected different people, in various ways. You've had your, different content drops like the World of Warcrafts, those games that are there in the past. They've had their time in the sun when you were able to spend that much time, and the onus and the bulk of the industry wasn't in that lane, and there was room for it. But now people see that the only money play is through attention. That there's one interview with Bo Burnham that always, again, I talked about it with you off podcast, off recording and I talked to everybody in chat about that, just about Bo Burnham's interview about just how things are going with technology and stuff like that. And so many companies want people's attention. They want the attention, and in the context of the gaming space, this format of live service games, dropping content ever so often, trying to keep you grinding towards objectives and stuff, it keeps you in the loop as much as possible. It keeps your attention locked on them, so you're not looking anywhere else, and that gives them at least a higher propensity for you to spend money on them rather than put their money in other games and they don't get your dollar. So everybody's trying to justify the expenses of their project through this model. Oh, we'll get our money back because we're gonna have XYZ amount of people jump in, they're gonna be staring at this game, and we're gonna have that. But the problem is, everybody is thinking the same way. You're not as smart as everybody else is, people who are thinking about dropping live service games, because everybody else is thinking in that same way. And most of the industry's already been doing it in one form or another, in consistent content drops, and it being a free game, and then people enter into the market, and you have paid microtransactions or whatever, blah blah blah. Like, this is it's not even a saturated market. It's an oversaturated market. It is a flooded market. It is a packed market, whatever you want to say. It's over capacity. It is over capacity, man. Where do I mark if live service truly being dead? Or not dead, but truly being at a point of where it's untenable. Maybe Destiny 1. Maybe Destiny 1 is probably like the real tipping point of where stuff will like really went like south for like, this is getting too much. Maybe around Destiny for me personally. But all in all these concerns are very valid, and I hope that prompts the industry to, like you said, adjust their approach when making games. The onus doesn't have to be on live service, and this boils down to just how we approach gaming and how greedy do people want to be, or how sustainable can this process be for making video games. Let's not focus on live service games, because one, most of our attention is already on established ones. All right, Call of Duty's already switched their format, so you can't stop them. Fortnite is a freight train from hell. You cannot stop them in any way, shape, or form. Like, that's pretty much it. GTA Online, they're gonna live service their, I don't even think it's like live service. They're a live service. GTA Online, whenever that drops, they have RP now. They're stamped for life. You cannot stop them. Apex, stamped. You can't stop them. They're gonna have their little market share, whatever. They're gonna sit in the corner, and everybody else peters out from there. You're not going to have a sustainable live service model unless you're creating something incredibly special that has incredible word of mouth marketing, that is incredibly well timed. It's such a very, very minuscule, minute chance that you'll have a very long-standing live service title in anything at this point, unless a lot of things line up for you. Again, that's why Helldivers 2 is such a success that it is. It's a really good fucking game that came at a really good fucking time for, again, just a really good series in general, and the word of mouth was unreal. People from minute one were like, yo, shit, this game is super fire. You need to check this out. And the snowball just went from there. That is a that's like a 1 in 10,000 case for all these live service titles. Most of you're not them. Again, I'm gonna use the Invincible quote: get some sleep. You're not him. You're not gonna be one of them, bro. So it would behoove everybody in the industry to start rethinking their strategy and lead with that. Make games that are less time intensive and are more fun, more experimental. Take a risk. Take a risk in something that you might not want to try. Shorter, weirder games. We love it. Again, we sat at the whole beginning of this episode talking for about 40 minutes about Tales of Kenzera Zao. And I would play it again. And I will play it again. I told y'all before, I will play it again because it is a compact story. I know I can finish it in a reasonable amount of time, and I have value for that time. I think people now are realizing more than ever, time is such a incredibly valuable, but like it's like hungry area that people operate in, especially companies operate in to gain. You know what I mean? For people's time, it's such a valuable thing because it opens up to almost every other form. Again, money, engagement, blah blah blah, like this, that, and the third, and it's precious. So people, games, experiences that respect your time, I think is becoming more valuable than ever, and I think we will see that turn. And we will see that turn eventually. It's going to be a longer time to wait. I think it'll be another 6 years, honestly, before we get a real wave of the industry reforming itself and switching back to more single player experiences or more insular experiences where you don't have to, do a crazy thing. And this is also why I've said it on a previous episode. This is why the industry is stopgapping a lot of different games and either putting tacked on multiplayer or co-op modes in there, co-op primarily, or making co-op games outright, just making pure co-op games, because they're like, yo, we don't want to feel like it's a straight live service game or whatever. We want you to have natural engagement with the game and stuff like that. What's the easy way to do it? Convince a couple of your friends. Now you need like 6 or whatever. You just need 3 other people, but convince a couple of your friends to get the game, and you stay locked in on this co-op experience where you're having fun, you're creating moments, stuff like that, and we can rope you in that way. That's why I've seen so many co-op games pop up over these past few years. In earnest, because co-op is such a naturally fun and engaging way to play video games, I think people are using that as a stopgap to try and find their way into that time conversation of that live service. But if you take live service out of the equation, out of it, and just make a pure-blooded co-op game, you'll have good things that are coming down the pike, like No Rest for the Wicked when the co-op drops on update 1. Like, I think there's just so much abuse of time in a lot of these games, especially again in the live service part, that people are kind of they're taking their time back. They're taking their time back. They got games from 6 years ago that they're playing, bro. I don't know if you remember that stat from the other day too, that most people are playing games that are 6 years and older. Like, yeah, people are still playing their old shit. They think they have time for your new shit? No.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Nah. So I'm glad that people are concerned in the gaming industry, and I hope this prompts change. This needs to change. Make shorter, weirder, experimental, riskier games. All right. With that being said, that's all the notes I actually got on the podcast, man. That's all we got. I don't think I have anything else that I missed in the news or whatever. I don't know if there's anything that we might have missed. When?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, nah. That's really it. But yeah, cool. We can sign on out of here, bro. For this episode, When, give me your closing notes.
Drink water, stay healthy, and play the games that make you happy.
Type shit. And my closing notes. Watch X-Men, because I'm going to start watching it literally after this podcast ends while I'm editing, because I gotta catch up on it. And I'm going to watch Fallout, and at some point I will give my personal review on this podcast of those 2 shows. Well, maybe more so Fallout. Yeah,
I started watching Fallout. I need to watch X-Men as well. I think I got access to a Disney account, so I'll try to tap into X-Men.
Word, definitely. I think I've heard a lot of good things, which is great. I wanted those shows to do good, and it seems like they are, but I will, and we will see if we can get some time to watch it and give our reviews on it. Make sure you lock in with us. Again, shout to the Wicked team, the Tales Kenzera team, for showing love to us, man. So slowly but surely we're getting up there, man. I think we're well over 500 now, subscribers on YouTube and stuff. We're going, man. We got a lot more surprises. And my actual closing note is, if you made it this far, 1, appreciate you, and 2, is anybody you love to see on this podcast from the gaming industry, dope gaming creators that want to talk games and talk about just shit that's going on in the industry and what they've seen in their experiences. Any type of folks that you think is dope for No Cooldown Podcast, make sure you shout them out in the comment section below, or any of our socials at No Cooldown Pod on Twitter or X, No Cooldown Podcast everywhere else. If you think somebody's dope for the podcast, man, let us know, man. We love to have them. Definitely want to spread more conversations and spread the love that way. A lot of stuff is coming down the pike. Summer's coming, Summer Game Fest, a really dope time to, be around in the No Cooldown space. And yeah, that we'll take it from there. But for now, this has been episode 92 of No Cooldown. Out of here. I'm JP. I make a say. Oh, sorry, that song's in my head. Bye.